What's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. Y'all stay tuned. We got another great one with great content that I think y'all gonna fuck with. And I think it leads into one of the other videos we just checked out. So y'all don't go nowhere on that. All coming up next. Let's get it. Welcome back, you guys. Today we're here with federal agents shut down major smuggling pipeline in Florida, 30 arrested and over 370 pounds seized. So let's check this video out. This was posted 13 days ago. Sorry about that.
We broke the news Monday that 4 migrant
Hold up.
boats were intercepted off our coast this week.
Bahamas.
On board 30 Chinese nationals, including 2 children, 5 Bahamians, and 168 kilograms of cocaine.
Definitely.
The County Sheriff's Office uncovered what they say is a smuggling operation involving more than 30 people. Several law enforcement agencies worked together after learning a group of men was planning to travel to the Bahamas to pick up illegal drugs and, quote, smuggle undocumented immigrants into the U.S.
Since that time, since President Trump's gotten into office, the southern border obviously has been shut down. So people are going to find other ways, like water. People finding the path of least resistance. So what we've seen is the Bahamas has really relaxed a lot of their immigration. And so people are going there as kind of a launching point to get here to the United States. So we do have a border here in Florida. It's our coastline. And so our Marine unit's out here. But the biggest thing is working with our federal partners. You know, when I came into office, those relationships had been pretty much severed. We were not working on any task force with the DEA, FBI, U.S. Marshals. We've kind of revitalized all of those, and we are just now working full steam ahead with those partners, and this is what's the payoff is. So
Florida's coastline, long celebrated for its beauty, has become a battlefield. In 2025, those waters turned into the front line of America's war against smuggling. Federal agents intercepted 4 migrant boats off Fort Pierce, and what they found shocked even seasoned investigators. On board, 30 Chinese nationals, including 2 children, 5 Bahamian crewmen, and hidden beneath supplies 370 pounds of cocaine, 168 kilos, a shipment worth millions, designed to move silently into American cities. This wasn't random. It was organized, deliberate, and global. A pipeline stretching from China through the Bahamas and straight into U.S. waters. A system built to exploit gaps, combining narcotics with human cargo profit layered over desperation. Authorities say it's one of the most sophisticated smuggling channels uncovered in recent years. The first clues appear ordinary. An Airbnb in Fort Pierce. Men renting rooms, coming and going. Nothing unusual until sheriffs look closer.
Now, you guys, I was talking to my dad about this, and he told me, you gotta think about it, right? ICE, because I was like, why is ICE dealing with drug smuggling? I thought they were dealing with deportations and stuff like that. But if they're deporting somebody and they end up finding drugs, that's an ICE bust. Sorry, y'all, I'm so tired today. But that's an ICE bust. And yeah. I don't know what else I was saying, but yeah, that's an ICE bust if it comes down to them having to deport somebody and dealing with drugs.
Until federal task forces connected movements across counties, until surveillance revealed a pattern that didn't fit. What looked like vacation traffic was in fact cartel logistics. Florida knows smuggling. From the drug wars of the 1,980 seconds to today's synthetic pipeline, its 1,350 miles of coastline have always been vulnerable. But this case is different, more intricate, more reckless, more dangerous. If a network can push both people and narcotics across one of the most heavily watched borders in the US, what does that say about the fight against organized crime? How deep does this network run? This operation is more than a single bust. It's a warning. A snapshot of a battle where cartels adapt faster than the systems built to stop them. Tonight, we open that story. The arrests, the evidence, and the haunting question of what else may already have slipped through America's front door. It started with a quiet house in Fort Pierce. An Airbnb tucked into a suburban street, rented by a group of men who looked like any other travelers. Neighbors saw suitcases, cars coming and going, nothing more. But investigators noticed the patterns. Too many late-night arrivals, too many short stays, too many cell phones lighting up at once. What looked like vacation traffic was in fact the command center. Federal task forces began to piece it together. This wasn't leisure, it was logistics. Surveillance teams tracked movements to the marina. From there, the plan unfolded. Boats were prepared to cross into the Bahamas, pick up human cargo and cocaine, then return under the cover of darkness. Sheriff's deputies worked alongside ICE and Homeland Security, comparing timelines, matching names, connecting bank transfers to suspicious rentals. One lead pointed to 5 Bahamian crewmen, ready to ferry the loads. Another linked cell data to Chinese nationals, already staged for pickup. Suddenly, the Airbnb wasn't just a rental, it was a staging ground for international crime. The question hangs heavy. How many other ordinary...
What's going on, you guys? You're back tuned in to Lil Jake. Don't go nowhere because we got another great video coming up next. All here next on Lil Jake. Or actually, we're gonna come back where we left off. Alright, you guys. Federal agents shut down major smuggling pipeline in Florida. We're going to start it from about right here.
5 Bahamian crewmen, ready to ferry the loads. Another linked cell data to Chinese nationals, already staged for pickup. Suddenly, the Airbnb wasn't just a rental, it was a staging ground for international crime. The question hangs heavy. How many other ordinary homes across America mask the machinery of smuggling, hiding pipelines that stretch far beyond what a single bust can reveal? 3 boats waited in the shadows, their engines silent, their paths mapped with precision. On the shore, lookouts scanned the horizon, ready to signal if patrol lights cut across the waves. The Airbnb in Fort Pierce, once just a rental, had become a command post. To outsiders, it looked like tourists enjoying Florida Sunday. In reality, it was a staging hub for a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. Each passenger from China was charged up to $35,000 for the journey. Families mortgaged futures for a promise of entry. But this wasn't just human smuggling. Hidden among the bodies, sealed in plastic and wrapped in tarps, lay 370 pounds of cocaine. A dual cargo, people and narcotics moved like commodities in a global trade. The scheme relied on camouflage. Legal services, Airbnb rentals, boat charters, money transfers were used as cover, making the operation look legitimate until the final moment. Investigators say this model treated crime like business. Profit margins, logistics, supply chains, but instead of goods, the pipeline carried flesh and poison. If an international cartel can blend so easily into everyday commerce, turning rental homes into hubs and tourist boats into trafficking vessels, how many other businesses hide the machinery of smuggling in plain sight? 5:30 a.m., Fort Pierce Inlet. The sky was still dark, the tide pushing against the jetties when the boats made their move. 3 vessels cut through the water, their
So we're going to check some more out on this later, you guys. But there is some more on this I want to check out. But we pretty much said everything that we want to say. And I don't really feel like watching no more of this video. We'll check this out on the back end since we're talking about ICE. Like there's another ICE arrest inside Seattle.
Today, the Drug Enforcement Administration announced a massive drug bust connected to a major Mexican cartel. 19 people have been charged, including Washingtonians and foreign nationals.
The Sinaloa cartel peddles this poison for one reason: to make money.
The Drug Enforcement Administration announced a massive drug bust connected to a major Mexica. Federal agents say this was no routine bust. After an 18-month investigation, wiretaps, surveillance, coordination between local police and federal task forces, the results are staggering. 19 people indicted, among them U.S. citizens and foreign nationals. At the top, two brothers from Mexico, Rosario Abel Wayne Carmago Bolaños.
Both these men directed this group that dealt death and despair in our community.
And Francisco Fernando Carmago Bolaños. Prosecutors say they weren't middlemen. They were the command center of a network tied directly to the Sinaloa cartel. The evidence seized reads like the ledger of a war. More than 4,600 pounds of methamphetamine, 269 pounds of fentanyl, 23 pounds of cocaine, 6 pounds of heroin. Enough fentanyl alone.
This was all inside Seattle.
Investigators warn to produce 6.9 million lethal doses, enough to kill the entire population of Seattle-Tacoma. Alongside the drugs, grenades, rifles, and millions in cash.
Grenades.
This is cartel infrastructure embedded in Washington state. Not distant.
Grenades right in your backyards, y'all. Bet you didn't know that?
Not abstract, but operating through trucks, commercial flights, and a network of both Mexican and American collaborators. The kind of system that turns ordinary cities into quiet front lines. How did it root itself so deeply here? And what does this say about the fight ahead? Stay with us, subscribe, share, and join the conversation as we uncover the weapons, the tactics, and the reach of this deadly network. 9 Seattle, Washington. The raid scene looked more like a battlefield than a city street. Officers in tactical gear lined up behind armored vehicles. Inside the evidence trucks, crates of weapons, bags of narcotics, stacks of cash. In just 36 hours before prosecutors went public, agents seized 6 pounds of fentanyl, 15 pounds of methamphetamine, 60 pounds of marijuana, along with heroin, cocaine, 23 firearms, and bundles of money. Each item tells a story of scale, but the guns tell a story of danger, many of them linked to defendants with prior felony records and past immigration violations. One name stands out: Isabel Berzapin, a 44-year-old truck driver from Mexico. Investigators say she transformed her rig into what they called a weapon of mass distribution, running narcotics up and down the I-5 corridor. Her tractor-trailer, once built for cargo, became the backbone of a supply chain delivering lethal substances from Oregon through Washington. How many communities did her routes quietly connect? And it wasn't only Seattle or Tacoma. Federal documents revealed cartel footprints in Whidbey Island, Arlington.
What else do you do in Seattle, to be honest? Besides become a big drug operation. Like, the big cities is the place to go to have something to do, but people talk about all the time in these vlogs of these broken down cities, there's nothing to do. So what do? You sell drugs, right? Or what would you do? If there's no jobs in the area, everybody's taking up the jobs. You got people coming from outside the country taking up jobs. What would you do if you're trying to make ends meet for your family and you've been living in this country for your whole entire life, was born and raised in this country? What would you do, bro?
Washington and Lacey proved that the network spread into suburbs and rural towns, embedding itself where few expected. The reach is systematic, designed to blend urban anonymity with small-town cover. The roster of defendants underscores the mix of nationalities. Mexican nationals like José Maya Ortiz and Juan Carlos García Orales, operating alongside American citizens such as Carmen Davis of Everett and Taylor Johnson and Israel Davis of Shoreline. Prosecutors say this partnership is deliberate cartels relying on locals to push product directly into American neighborhoods. The disturbing reality? U.S. citizens selling cartel drugs to their own communities. Taken together, the tactics are clear. Heavy weapons to defend shipments, commercial trucks as mobile warehouses, suburban homes as stash sites, and an integrated workforce of both foreign nationals and Americans to move narcotics into every corner of Washington state. What does this reveal? That the cartel model is not just imported, it is implanted, using the very fabric of American logistics and neighborhoods against themselves. For families in Seattle and beyond, the question is chilling. If suburban garages and interstate trucks can be turned into cartel tools, how close might the next operation already be to home? The 15th of September 2025, 11:45 a.m., Seattle, Washington. In the stark light of a county morgue, the numbers become faces, families waiting for answers. Rows of files stamped overdose. In 2023 alone, Washington state recorded 3,477 overdose deaths, and officials say 76% were linked to fentanyl. King County, home to Seattle, crossed the...
I know Trump's already been to Washington State, or Washington, D.C. or whatever, but has he been to Washington State yet? Because that's where I want to know, because since they had all this go on, he probably gonna go there next. Or as part of his plan. His ultimate plan, he's probably gonna go there, so we'll have to wait and see.
Grim threshold. More than 1,000 fentanyl deaths in a single year. The CDC ranks Washington with the fourth highest increase in overdose fatalities nationwide, up 10% year over year. In some counties, the toll doubled previous averages. What explains such a surge, and what does it reveal about the depth of the crisis? The investigation offers chilling details. Aaron Tapp, 52, from Everett, arrested with over 2 kilograms of fentanyl pills. John Hartman, 57, found with cross-stamped fentanyl bricks and $50,000 in cash. Each case points not to users, but to traffickers feeding a system that measures profit in lives lost. Then there is José Félix Germán, 34, a Mexican national, deported in 2013 yet back in the U.S. and once again facing charges tied to fentanyl. His case underscores what agents call the border gap. Individuals removed only to return and re-embed in cartel operations. For communities already overwhelmed, it is a sign of how porous systems can fuel recurring cycles of crime. The drugs seized in Washington were not theoretical threats. According to DEA testing, just 2 milligrams of fentanyl can be lethal. Multiply that by the thousands of counterfeit pills pulled from apartments and trucks, and the scale is staggering.
Y'all imagine the addiction some of these people have when you have enough, just a small amounts of fentanyl can kill a regular person. But some people you'll find are doing fentanyl like it's nothing, like bags on bags of pills on pills, like it's nothing, and it's not even doing anything to them at this point. They're just using it not to be sick, but it takes that much for them to feel it. So imagine that, how much fentanyl is actually in their system and how much it would actually take to kill them versus everybody else. they could use their same dose of fentanyl that takes to heal them, and it would take that same dose to kill like 50 people probably. Just imagine that.
Officials warn that even seasoned professionals cannot distinguish real medication from a counterfeit dose. For teenagers and young adults, the danger lies in a single pill disguised as help a study aid, a pain reliever that instead delivers death. This crisis is not confined to statistics. It ripples through schools, emergency rooms, and neighborhoods across Washington. Behind every seizure number is a life that might have been spared or one already lost.
Death.
So the question remains, if one bust...
It's a pain reliever, but just one too many, your ass gonna die. This ain't your average Oxycontins no more.
...can uncover fentanyl enough to kill millions, what more lies hidden in the shadows of Seattle, Tacoma, and beyond, and how many lives hang in the balance before it is found? Under the harsh glow of evidence room lights, grenades sit beside rifles, while bags of cash spill open across metal tables. Next to them, trays of counterfeit pills, millions of doses laced with fentanyl, each one a silent threat. Federal officials say this haul alone could have fueled a public health catastrophe. Yet beyond the numbers lies a larger lesson about how crime, health, and policy now intersect. Operation Take Back America was not just about arrests. It was about exposing how transnational
See, when you get arrested in this stuff, y'all, it's all about the weight of the medication. So if you get caught with fentanyl pills, they're gonna weigh more, so you're gonna get in more trouble. And if you get caught with pills in general, I think it's more trouble anyway, because the weight of it is what matters. But so yeah, that'll get you in trouble way worse than having actual fentanyl with you. And actual fentanyl is probably more deadlier because just touching the stuff will probably kill you. But when you got the pills, it's more deadly. It's more arrest offense because they weigh more, which inside has more fentanyl in them, I guess. But that's how it really works. So don't get arrested out here for having a bunch of pills on you. And just don't take fentanyl, y'all.
Cartels exploit weaknesses in governance, border control, and even local economies. 19 alleged leaders now face 37 federal charges, but the deeper challenge is systemic. These organizations build infrastructure inside the U.S., blending global supply with local demand. Their survival depends on more than smuggling routes. It depends on the gaps in education, treatment, and community resilience. That is why experts warn this crisis cannot be fought with enforcement alone. While mandatory sentences and indictments can dismantle networks, the demand side requires equal urgency. Prevention programs in schools, affordable access to treatment, and investment in mental health are as essential as raids and seizures. Because every pill intercepted today signals a community where prevention failed yesterday. The statistics drive the point home. Overdose is now the leading cause of death for Americans aged 18 to 45. Behind each case is not just a lost life, but a civic cost: emergency rooms overwhelmed, foster systems burdened, neighborhoods destabilized. The price is paid not only in grief, but in public resources strained to breaking. So the question becomes sharper. If enforcement reveals how deeply cartels root themselves in American life, will society match that with equal depth in prevention and education? Or will the cycle of profit and loss continue, one lethal pill at a time? Share this story, subscribe, and join the dialogue, because awareness is the beginning of real defense.
But thank you guys for watching this video with me. Seattle cartel leads arrests, grenades, guns, and deadly fentanyl. And we checked out the other arrests that happened on the coast of Florida. We watched half of that video. It just didn't get interesting like this one. But what do you guys think? I always gotta ask, do you feel like people should be arrested for having these drugs on them? or should they be tried as mental abuse or mental health problems, or should they be locked up for pushing poison into the communities when there's already poison being pushed into the community as it is, from the food we eat, the music we listen to, and more. It's more than just drugs. That's poison in this community. So what do you guys think about that? I don't know how to feel about it. I just know my video has not been here the whole time. See, now you see me. Now you see me. But we were talking about it. Y'all did get the commentary. But I hope you guys have it going. Thank you guys for liking the video, commenting. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Peace.